secret, Mufasa. I always wanted a brother.
Have I got your attention now? I didn't want it to be this way. I made it so simple.
Disney has simply lost the plot when it comes to their movies, not just the remakes but the new ones as well. The only thing that could save Disney right now is if they brought back the classic 2D animations like they did back in the past, which they probably will never do. And almost every single remake or live action they brought out is garbage, or just ruined it for the 2D version. Snow White is suddenly Latina, Ariel is, Ariel, and then there's Scar, who instead of being Mufasa's blood brother is actually just a close friend of Mufasa who was a stray. Okay, I may be one of the very few people who have this take, but I think the live action Lion King was pretty decent, the first one that is. The main complaint people have about this movie is that it looks realistic, like bruh, there's a reason it's live action, shut up. The one caveat with it is Scar is much less intimidating. The hyenas for example showed not 1 ounce of fear when they first saw Scar, and were prepared to eat him compared to the cartoon version where Shenzi and the rest would get terrified if Scar surprised them. But the movie with Scar's childhood did it in. Why they felt the need to completely change the story to the point where Mufasa and Scar aren't related is beyond me. Scar apparently was now just the son of a lazy king, and Mufasa came in and eventually took over the territory and grabbed his girl. So he held a grudge. Justifiable crash out to be honest. But do you remember when Scar was willing to commit assault in the first 2D movie? Yeah, in a cutscene Scar was gonna try his best to impregnate Nala even though he was already like 40 in human years when she was a cub. And now he's like 60. Anyway, the live action of this guy is a hit or miss for most, but one Disney animal villain that maintained their fear factor was Shere Khan. In every single movie with this guy, he's seen as death. Everything freezes or just bolts in his presence, aside from the elephants in that one movie where he's actually the protector. Shere Khan is a live action villain done right. Alright, so in the 2016 Jungle Book live action, every single thing in this movie is very upscaled. Like, these are Indian wolves. They usually don't get more than 80 pounds, but in the movie, they are massive timber wolves approaching 200 pounds. Bagheera himself is twice the weight of the largest male leopards ever caught on record, and Shere Khan, well, let's compare him to the poster where he's next to Idris. Now let's take a look at a male tiger next to a normal person. Yeah, quite the difference. Shere Khan is between 12 and 13 feet in length from head to tail, and anywhere between 850 and 900 pounds of weight. That's almost 50% heavier than a Siberian tiger, and up there with some of the largest felines in the fossil record. They didn't try to make him any different or change the background story as to why he's the way he is. He still hates man because he doesn't like them and disguises that hatred as concern to the other animals of the jungle by justifying his killing of humans because they hurt the jungle. I mean, that could in fact be the reason, but I honestly think bro just hunts us because we're easy targets. And his hatred gets even more intensified when he's blinded by Mowgli's parents after a torch is branded across his eye. That is the only thing that changed about his character. He still goes through great lengths and waits years until he can kill Mowgli. During the water truce where it's forbidden to hunt or kill anything in the area, every single thing looks up to Shere Khan as though the rapture is happening when he appears. Why are even the upscale 3+ ton Asiatic rhinos backing away from this dude? Is he that broken? However, like the 2D films, he still maintains his own weird charm, wit and somewhat reasoning. He tells Akela and the rest of the pack that when the water covers the Peace Rock, he wants them to hand over Mowgli, so they did the sensible thing and send him back to the man village. The same with almost every other Jungle Book movie, but this time Shere Khan almost always knows where Mowgli is and tries to kill anyone in his way. Bagheera, who is an almost 400 pound leopard, gets laid out even when he has the first strike. And for a Smilodon populated sized field, you'd think Shere Khan can't be that fast, right? Wrong. This bastard was pushing more than 50 miles per hour. You remember that SpongeBob scene where the Sponge and Patrick are running from Sandy but she's this close behind them so SpongeBob starts to panic? Well, yeah, that would have been me. Now, Asiatic water buffalo on average are around 1200 pounds, but that's too close to Shere Khan's weight, so the movie made them more than a ton. Look at the size of them compared to Mowgli. That's way bigger than a real buffalo compared to children. And despite one running at full speed and crashing into the tiger's ribs, with him likely getting trampled in the process, he's not affected in the slightest, but he does stop his pursuit because it just wasn't worth it at the time. Now this obviously pissed off Shere Khan, because he failed at killing Mowgli. He had to take his frustration out of something, but he had to make it tactical and in a way where it could somehow lure Mowgli in. So our boy Moses up to the wolf pack and acts all chill with Akela as though everything's fine, but the moment when he acts as though he's going to leave, he turns wrong and with no effort, launches this 200 pound wolf off the cliff. Again, I know he's a big tiger, but there are more than 15 adult wolves in the pack. That's at least 3,000 pounds of teeth, and they still didn't even attempt to challenge him after they killed the most beloved member of the pack. The video is about Shere Khan, but I just want to take a break from him and talk about Baloo. Bagheera calls Baloo a sloth bear. Now, I want you folks to tell me that you actually believe this. Sloth bears are black and max out at around 350 pounds. Baloo is brown and looks like a grizzly bear and is much bigger than any sloth bear. He more than likely is an Asiatic or Himalayan brown bear, but even then that doesn't explain his size. Baloo in terms of height and weight is up there with the short-faced bears of North America. Well, when they were alive. Later on in the movie you'll see this, but Baloo is decently taller than Shere Khan, and when both are upright, Shere Khan is between 12 and 13 feet in length from nose to tail. Standing on his hind legs, he's 8 or 9 feet tall, but Baloo is at least 11 when upright. That's Arcturius Simon's types of height right there. And as for weight, the lowest is, I'll say 1400 pounds. This is another thing they changed in the movie that I don't really mind. He still is this lazy, no caring bear, but when it comes to Mowgli, he'll put his life on the line to save him. Only in the movies he's more serious at times. My boy wrestled a 50-foot long 1.3 ton Burmese python and won. And for those saying, nah, Kaa's just like 25 or 30 feet long. Really, this is a picture or model of I think a 40-foot long Titanoboa, and this is Kaa. Her head alone is outrageously massive. Anyway, back to Shere Khan. After he kills Akela, Mowgli comes back with fire. Now this is where Shere Khan's manipulation and gaslighting comes into play. He even mocks Mowgli after he does it. He tells the kid that look how he's become so much of a danger to the jungle instead of a savior, and that he looks just like his father. And this of course brings out the emotion in Mowgli, causing him to put out the flame, where Shere Khan just said he's an idiot for doing. That's some savagery right there. But after everyone saw that Mowgli actually cares about the natural law, they finally all band together against the tiger, and Baloo is the first one to challenge the One-Eyed King. In terms of power, you could see that Baloo slightly has the edge, but Khan's agility and skill give him enough of an advantage where he could bypass that and eventually pin Baloo to the ground and land a bite. Even as a wee child watching this ending, I've noticed that Shere Khan has some serious endurance. Right after that fight, he fought a bunch of supersized wolves, went running at full speed again to catch Mowgli, but then had to fight Bagheera at the last second, and then had to fight the wolves a second time without any break, and he still broke free and ran straight into the burning jungle. The 2D movie has his death linked more so to starvation because he was trapped in a statue, or at least it's implied that he died because it's not confirmed. But here he just gets burnt alive after falling into the flames on the jungle floor. But man, for a basically 900-pound cat to climb trees almost like a leopard is some serious skill. I forgot to mention this, but the Asiatic elephants in the Jungle Book are the size of Columbian mammoths. As a matter of fact, they look very similar. Asian elephants are smaller than their African relatives and are slightly more dense, but the ones in this movie they just look like Columbian mammoths, if I'm going to be honest. And they create a runoff where the water from the river could put out the fire. Shere Khan is a perfect example of a live-action villain. They made some slight changes like him being blind in one eye, but that's just about it. They didn't create some unusual or quite frankly stupid backstories to why he is the way he is. They just portray him as he is in the movies. The literal king of the jungle as stated in a few movies that demands respect even from the most formidable of animals. Hell, even though I don't think he'd win in a fight against King Louie in the live action, his reputation alone was one of the reasons keeping Louie and his monkey army in the temple until they could make fire. So yeah, that's all there is to him. A man eater that kills the sport and to instill fear among his subjects. If only they had a similar disposition to Scar. I'm sure most people would have been on board with the two movies. The first movie, as I said, is alright. He's not nearly as cunning compared to the cartoon, but still is nonetheless. However, the lack of respect that hyenas have for him in the first introduction is a far cry from his prowess in the very first film. And the remake diving into his childhood, all they had to do was stick to the narrative. Make Mufasa and Scar brothers, with Mufasa being the favourite brother due to him being stronger and more of a leader, and favoured by Sarabi, which leads Scar to challenge his older brother for the throne and eventually lose and gets almost exiled. But nope, Scar is the son of a hillbilly king and Mufasa just washes up on their doorstep and eventually runs into Sarabi, where they have a fight with a bunch of white lions to save the Pride Lands. And Scar, planning to kill Mufasa but still saving him at the last moment, was what got him partially banished in his own kingdom. So yeah, they did way too much. You know what, it still doesn't even make sense, because in the first live action Scar says he fought Mufasa before, but in the backstory we never once see them have a physical fight. I don't know man, maybe it was off screen. All I could hope for now is that Shere Khan doesn't get his own backstory where he's the way he is because a poacher or something killed his parents, leading him to hate humanity or some nonsense. Anyway, that's gonna do it for now folks. I was bored and decided to rewatch The Jungle Book and realized just how good of a live action it was. If you want more videos like this, hit the like button and leave in the comments what you'd like to see next. And join the Discord if you want to reach out to me personally. But don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I will see you guys in the next video.